and also hope that you are having a good day so far. Today we'll be doing our grade 8 English lesson on suffixes. So in our previous lesson we did prefixes. So today we'll be doing suffixes. And before we start with our lesson, we are going to log on to aplusstudents.ca. Once we've logged on to aplusstudents.ca with our username as well as our password, and then we're going to select the subject of Language Arts, grade 8. And once we've selected the subject of Language Arts, grade 8, we're going to scroll down up until we get to the chapter of suffixes. And in our previous lesson, we did prefixes. And we said prefixes are words or a group of words or letters that you put at the beginning of a root or base word. And to know the meaning of a prefix or to even know the meaning of a suffix, right, will be able to help you to determine what the meaning is of the specific word. All right. So suffixes. Our chapter is suffixes. The subject is English language arts. Grade 8. And the lessons that we will be doing today under the chapter of suffixes is words with full, words with less or less, the way we'll say it, and words with able or able. And we are doing our tutorial lesson on aplusstudents.ca. So we'll be doing our tutorial lesson on aplusstudents.ca. All right, so a suffix, right? A suffix can be added to the end of a base word to create a new word, right? So you'll have your base word as a word that can stand on its own. And then a suffix we can add or can be added to the end of a base word to create a new word, right? So a suffix is basically either a group of words or it can be letters, right, that you add at the end of the base word to create a new word. And knowing the meaning of a suffix will be able to help determine the meaning of the word. So knowing the meaning of the suffix, it will be able to help us to determine the meaning of the word. All right. So we see that with the suffix, with our lessons today, we're doing words with full, less or less, and able and able, right? All right, so suffixes with full, right? It means having showing, or causing. That is what it means. Having, showing, or causing. And then suffixes with less. And the suffixes with less means without, right? It means without. And then also suffixes with able or able. And suffixes with able and able, it means able to be, right? So able to be. All right, better. All right, so if we go to, firstly, if we make an example of suffixes with full, right? If we look at a few examples of suffixes with full, then we will have, let me just fix this. All right, then we have a word like, let's say, careful. Oopsie. Right? So careful. So we said that suffixes with full means either having, showing, or causing, right? So careful. If we look at the word careful, then careful means you are either full of care or having lots of care or lots of caution, right? So suffix, the full suffix means either full or it means having. So careful can be one of our words, right? And there we have the word full at the end of our base word. Another word is fruitful at the end of our base word. Fruitful. Another word could be wonderful. And there we have our word. It's when you're full of wonder, when it's marvelous, right? It's wonderful. When you're thoughtful, right? When you're having lots of thoughts or considerate. And then we also have dreadful. These are but a few examples of full, right? It's like having lots of dread or showing dread or full of dread or terrible. So these are but a few examples of words that ends with full, right? Now we can go on to words that suffixes with less. The suffixes with less or less. So even if we look at the word, for example, careful, right? So careful, right, means either full of or having or showing lots of care, right? But now we have another word which is careless. And careless means it is without care. So we said that the suffix less means without. So this is without care. Careless is without care. Endless. It's without end, right? It is very long. It goes on and on and on. When you are helpless, it's basically when you're unable to help oneself. All right. Then there's also hopeless. Hopeless is also a word. Hopeless, and that is without hope. And homeless. So these are but a few examples of words that either ends with full, suffixes that ends with a full, um, words that ends with the suffix less. And now we're going to go to words with a suffix able or able. And we said the word able, the suffix able or able means the ability to be or able to be. All right, so if you advise someone, right, then you can say it is advisable. So advisable. Another word can be lovable. Able to be loved, lovable. We look at another word, right? Suffixes with able. Then we can say maybe desirable. We have advisable, it's able to advise. Lovable, the ability to be loved or loved or love. Desirable, right? And then we can also go with unbearable. And these are words, or let's say these are suffixes with the base words, right? And suffixes are words that you add at the end of that base word in order to create a new word. And these are a few examples, once again, of words with full, which is having or showing or causing. It's even full of. Suffixes with less, which means without. So careless is without care, endless without end. And suffixes with able or able, right? Meaning it is the ability to. So the ability to be, right? All right, so now we're going to a+students.ca. And we're going to words with full. And we said a suffix can be added to the end of a base word to create a new word. And knowing the meaning of a suffix can help you to determine the meaning of a word. And we said that full means having, showing, or causing. All right, so now we need to say which is considered to be respectful. Respectful. So things that is considered to be respectful. And then they only give us basically one answer. So we can say waiting your turn in line is respectful. So waiting your turn in line is respectful. Not jumping the line, not pushing, not cutting the line, but waiting your turn in line is respectful. Which is someone more likely to be prideful about? Prideful, where they are feeling proud. And something that someone is more prideful about, we can say it is an accomplishment. So when people get any forms of accomplishments, right, then that is quite prideful. So prideful. So someone is more likely to be prideful when they have achieved an accomplishment, or they've reached an accomplishment, or it is for an accomplishment. They are proud of it, right? And why might somebody give you a tearful goodbye? Why would somebody give you a tearful goodbye? Why would you give someone a tearful goodbye? So, something that may be considered or that will give you a tearful goodbye It is when you won't see that person again, maybe for a long time, or you just won't see that person ever, right? So tearful goodbyes. Tearful goodbyes, it's either because you won't see each other for a very long time, or you won't see the person again at all. So why might somebody give you a tearful goodbye? So tearful, and that is because you won't see each other again for a very long time, or you won't just see somebody again actually for a very, very long time. All right, so now we're going to our test, right? Where we are determining words with full. So why might a certain task be stressful? A, to you, why might something be stressful? Is it because it is relaxing or because it is urgent? So stressful, is it because it is relaxing or because it is urgent? So now something or a task might be stressful, full of stress. And something that might be stressful, it is because it is urgent. And stressful is correct. Urgent is correct. And which gymnast is more graceful? So graceful, full of grace. Is it one who looks awkward while performing difficult moves? Or one who looks at ease while performing difficult move? Graceful. So a gymnast is more graceful, right? And that is one who looks at ease while performing difficult moves, right? If you're more at ease, you're more relaxed, and that is more graceful. And whose performance is more likely to be discouraged as artful? So artful, is it an amateur violinist or a professional violinist? Something that is artful. So a professional violinist is more described as artful. So how does a dutiful student do his homework? Dutiful. How does a dutiful student do his homework? Is it carelessly, like without care? So, how does a dutiful student do his homework? And we will say thoroughly, right? Not carelessly. All right, now we're going on to our next lesson, which is words with less or words with less, right? And we say that a suffix can be added to the end of a base word to create a new word. And knowing the meaning of a suffix can help you to determine the meaning of a word. And we said less means without. All right, so what is considered as painless? Which of these is painless? So painless. So which of these are painless? So painless. So breaking an eggshell is painless, right? So painless is either an egg or something that is not hurtful. And what is a restless person more likely to do? A restless person. So, what is a restless person more likely to do? Is it to wiggle around or to rest? And a restless person is more likely to wiggle around. So, what does a humorless person be unlikely to appreciate? So, humorless. If you don't have humor, no sense of humor, then you are a humorless person. So, a humorless person is most likely to appreciate a good joke. So humorless person. So a humorless person is often a good joke will they would likely appreciate, right? So a good joke they would likely appreciate. All right. Oops. Let's first go to our test with less. So which is homeless? Homeless. Is it a wasp? Harmless. Sorry, harmless. It's without harm. It won't hurt you. Is it a wasp or a butterfly? So a harmless person, a harmless thing would be a butterfly. So what is the restless person more likely to do? Restless. Is it to wiggle around or to still sit? Sit still. So a restless person is more likely to wiggle around. So they're more likely to wiggle around, right? They cannot sit still. And what would a humorless person be unlikely to appreciate? So a humorless person, meaning you don't have any humor, right? Is unlikely to appreciate. So a humorless person is unlikely to appreciate a good joke, right? So they are most likely not going to appreciate a good joke. And how would you feel after a sleepless night? How would you feel after a sleepless night? Is it well rested or exhausted? So how would you feel after a sleepless night? And how would you feel after a sleepless night? Sleepless, right? Without sleep, you would be exhausted. if you had a sleepless night? And when might you feel helpless? Helpless. Is it when you have the power to change things or when you have no power to change things? So you feel helpless when you have no power to change things. Then you feel helpless. So we said a helpless person. Yes. All right. Oopsie. Wait a minute. Okay. So now we're going into able or able, right? And words with able or words with able, right? We also see that a suffix can be added to the end of a base word to create a new word. And knowing the meaning of a suffix can help you to determine the meaning of a word. So able or able, it's the ability to be, right? It means the ability to be. So, for example, if a couple refuses to sell their car for only $5,000, which offer might be more acceptable to them? And we said that able or able means the ability to be, able to be, right? So if a couple refuses to sell the car for only $5,000, which offer might be more acceptable for them? And an offer that will be more acceptable is a higher amount. So $8,000 would be a more acceptable amount. And what is reducible? Reducible. It's the ability to reduce, being able to reduce. So something that can be broken down into smaller parts. That is reducible. So something that can be broken down into smaller pieces, we call that reducible, right? It means to reduce into smaller groups or smaller parts, right? So reducible, it's where we are reducing or breaking something down into smaller parts or into smaller things. And measurable, what is measurable? And remember something that is measurable, it's what you can measure, right? So measurable, and that is the depth of a pond, either how deep or how shallow a pond is. So we said measurable is the depth of a pond. All right, so now which is more manageable, something that you can manage or handle? Is it finishing a week's worth of homework in one evening or finishing a day's worth of homework in one day? So manageable, what is more manageable? Is it finishing a week's worth of homework in one evening or finishing a day's worth of homework in one evening? So what's manageable is finishing a day's work, not the whole week's work. And if a couple refuses to sell their car for only $5,000, which offer might be acceptable to them? Is it $8,000 or is it $3,000? And an amount that is more acceptable to them would be a higher amount, which is $8,000. So $8,000, which is the higher amount, that is more acceptable. And why would you want something to be visible? Something to be visible. Is it so that it stays in one piece and doesn't fall apart, or so that you can share it with someone else? Or divisible. So something that is divisible. Was it divisible? Divisible. Why might you want something to be divisible? So that something stays in one piece and doesn't fall apart, or so that you can share it with someone else. I think let's choose that one. I'm not sure. Yay, so that we can share it with someone else. All right, so that is now the end of our lesson on suffixes. Remember, suffixes are it's a word that you add at the end of a base word to create a new word, right? And in order for you to know what the meaning of the suffixes are, it is rather best if you know what the mean. If you want to know the meaning of the full word or full sentence, it is best if you know the meaning of the suffix, right? And we said full is either full of or having much of, less means without, and able is being able to be, right? All right, so that is now the end of our lesson on suffixes. Thank you very much for joining the class, and I really hope you're going to have a good day further. Goodbye.